everybody, and welcome to GenFriends. I'm your host, Sherry Hudson-Passy from Carolina Girl Genealogy. And with me, we've got this wonderful panel. We have got Dr. Shelley Murphy, our family tree girl. Hello, Shelley.
Hello there, everybody. Glad to be here.
Glad you're here. All the way from the West Coast, we got Shelley with her
Mary.
Yeah.
with her mountains behind her. And we've got Mary coming all the way from the West Coast.
There you go.
Mary Kircher Roddy.
Via Ireland.
Via Ireland in the background from MKR Genealogy. Hello, Mary.
Hi there. Good to be here.
I know you're excited about what the goings on last night, being from Seattle. And we have got Laura Hedgecock from Treasure Chest of Memories. Hello, Laura.
Hi, everyone.
Glad you're here too. We have got Jenny Hawran from Like Herding Cats Genealogy. Hey,
Hi,
Jenny.
hi. How's everybody doing?
We're good. She's herded her cat and behind the door.
Yeah.
There should also be congratulations to her as a side note.
Oh, she's yes. Yes, you want to tell us what you just got elected to?
I got elected to president of my society, Connecticut Society of Genealogists. So
Congratulations.
very excited. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Laura, you have an announcement too.
On the same day, I was elected president of the Detroit Working Writers. It's a 125-year-old working writers society.
Oh,
Fantastic.
Congratulations.
I think
Very
that was
nice
what was
job.
going to happen.
Very nice.
awesome.
And last but certainly never least is Melissa Barker, the archive lady. Hello, Melissa.
Hi, everybody. So glad to be here. And I have not been elected to anything because
Me
I don't want to
We can arrange it.
be. No.
Oh, no. We're like, nope. Our plates are full.
Do you practice saying no in front of a mirror?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
With a
No.
smile.
No.
No.
So we have gathered together tonight to talk about Relative Race, season 15, day 10. Now, I know what a lot of you fans are thinking. Wait a second, we just had the finale. Where's our team reunion? We'll have it, I promise. It's just that we had some conflicts with not only our schedules, but some of the team schedules. And so we will be doing the recording, hopefully, on the 2nd of June, and then we'll get it out as soon as possible. So we will.
We're worth waiting for.
Yes, they're worth
yeah.
waiting for. We're so excited. Some of the teams couldn't make it. Then we got Memorial Day, of course, and we can't make it because half of us are going to be coming home from a genealogical conference. And so we will do it that first week of June. So we're very, very excited about that. But y'all, day 10. Well, they said it was tanks.
I loved it.
They
I
said it
want
was-
to ride one of those.
I
I
would-
want
I
to
would
drive
like to
one
do
of those
that
things.
too. Yes. I think that sounds fun. Now, of course, they had to get us at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, they had to show us who everybody met, all the crying, all the tears, and it got me started. I'm thinking, this is not supposed to be the crying episode. This is supposed to be the fun challenge, see who's going to win the money episode. But boy, they just really got us with all the meetings of moms and dads and cousins and nieces for David.
Parents.
And yeah, the parents. And it was just, just David gets me every time.
Oh, me too. My gosh.
Just even the recap, I'm going, oh, pretty I'm crying.
I know.
He's so emotional. He's so sensitive. And so I really like that about him because it's, I don't know, it's you could tell it's so heartfelt and meaningful.
Right.
Exactly.
And I hope he got all the questions.
Yeah, I'm
answered.
sure by now, so I can't wait to talk to him.
Yeah.
Wait.
That's the thing. Get the questions, And
how many of those siblings has he been able to meet? I mean, to have all those
there was 9
to be raised without them, and to start getting all those questions, like you said, Shelley, answered. It just I mean, he just, and he doesn't cry, he sobs, and he makes me sob.
I know.
And like, oh.
But can you imagine growing up? And
that's
some people might have had that experience. I did not have that experience.
Oh, so it's
I did have one grandparent that, but I don't know. I don't even know how to handle that, but I know I would have just as many questions.
Sure. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. So as
An
we,
emotional
yeah.
part with that.
Oh, absolutely. And they were also emotional. You know, all the teams were wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that they came on to Relative Race and allowed the filming of all that so that we could, you know, see them meet their family and, you know, go through a box of Kleenex and
What I was thinking about David watching it was actually it's probably better that he didn't meet his mother on that journey because there was already so much to process
Yeah.
that
Overwhelming.
yeah. And then to everything was in one day, and then the next day was something else.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's probably
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
a healthier way to do
Right.
it
Yeah.
with all the other huge things that were going on with him and worrying
Sure.
about Gabby and all that.
No, and there's no cameras in the way. There's
Right.
no time limits. There's no, they could be real. I mean, I know they're real anyway, but you know, having that extra, you know, burden of a camera in your face and
But
directors
you know
and
what
all that.
really got me emotionally
What's
was
that?
when he saw himself in a picture.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
I was
Exactly.
bawling. I thought, oh
Yeah.
my God. And he's
Yeah.
there with family.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. So
Yeah,
speaking
that
of
was a tough.
family, Gabby returned. It was a return of Gabby.
Yay.
And
She
of course,
did.
she's better, but she wasn't well enough to be able to, you know,
Mhm.
help out with the challenge. But, you know, that's moral support. That's moral
Yeah.
support, you know, her being there. So I was so happy to see her. And she just ran up and jumped on him and he
She
grabbed her. It was
did.
so
So
cute.
sweet.
It was really, really sweet.
Yeah.
So of course we knew going into day 10 that Team Black and Team Green would have to have an extra challenge. Anybody want to start off by talking about that?
Well, the challenge?
Yeah, that they
The
had.
challenge was called Behind Enemy Lines. And once we were told there was going to be about tanks, it was all going to be military. Because if you remember at the very beginning, they talked about
Yep.
wanting to honor veterans during this season.
Yes.
And so I think they did a fairly good job of that with the people that they met. If they had veterans connections or something, they would mention those. And so,
Right.
so they were out in the Texas
Yeah.
hot desert.
Yes.
And so this first one's Behind Enemy Lines. And all of these, I noticed that all of these challenges had a lot of steps to them. I would be hard pressed to keep up with all the steps.
Yeah.
Yes. I always
And
think of that when they have more than one step. I'd be so lost. I wouldn't even know what it was.
I can't do it anymore.
So they had a tank and they had all this spread out, this like, for lack of a better term, camping. It's not camp, military gear.
Yeah.
And they had to gather all this military gear up and put them in the bags, including the cover that's going to go over the tank.
The tarp.
The tarp.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Put it in bags and they put it in the tank. And then they had to go to what they called Behind Enemy Lines, and then take everything out of the bags. But at that point, they had help from the other teams.
Team,
Yep.
yep.
Yeah,
Team
the other
Red.
teams.
Yeah, Team Red and Team Blue. So
Yeah. And so then they got to get everything out and set it up and get everything covered under the tarp and also put on, I could never understand what they were calling that garment that they had to put on.
A ghillie suit.
yeah.
A ghillie suit. Okay. It looked like, the Sasquatch monster suit, something, Bigfoot. So, but then once they did, then and so Team Red had a difficult time because they kept saying, Dan the man kept saying, it isn't completely covered. It isn't, is it that one that?
Yeah.
Well, he didn't, he said you
For
haven't
Team
met
Green,
it. He didn't tell them what the problem was. He
Right.
just said, you're not done. So
Right.
they didn't know that they weren't covered
No, that
in
was
parts of it.
was that Team Red or Team Green?
No,
Well,
that
Team
was
Red.
Team Green, but
It
Red
was
was
red,
helping
and it
them.
was
Red was
just
helping them.
Yeah, Red was helping
Okay,
them.
It was
yes,
kind
yeah.
of like a
The tank.
Christmas tree team.
Yeah, because the
Right.
final thing was that the cannon part of the
wasn't covered.
the tank was not covered, and they didn't see because it was way above their heads.
And only Uncle Dan could
Yeah,
see
could
it.
reach it, and he could reach it, so he could fix it for him. It was funny because
Right.
because I'm going, no, 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 no. You know, you're trying to help them through the TV, right? Because they
Right.
with the wrench and a whole bunch of other things, and finally they saw that as time is running down, and Team Black started, and they did their tent the wrong way. And
Yeah.
so, you know, they had to completely turn it around and do it the right way. And so they were struggling, and they were catching up because they couldn't figure out, Team Red and Green could not figure out what the problem was, but just under the nick of time, they were able to get that fixed. And so poor Team Green
Yeah.
eliminated in that challenge, but they're so sweet. They're just,
No, Black was
No,
eliminated.
No, Black
Black
was
was
eliminated.
first.
Green
Yeah.
won the first challenge.
Yeah, Black was first
you're right. I
eliminated.
said it backwards. Yep.
Yeah.
I just said it backwards. Thank you. Thanks,
Yeah.
y'all. Thanks, y'all. Team
Yeah.
Black was eliminated because Team Green and Red, they covered up that. Yeah, they covered up that.
It was the
yes.
minutes and seconds, the difference.
Yeah, exactly. And not a lot in between. So,
Yeah.
you know, and the place was called drivetanks.com. What?
Yeah.
Who
And it
thought
was
that
in the-
there'd be
I
a
thought, yeah,
place-
we could go drive some tanks.
Yeah, we
I
could.
think
We could have
so.
a GenFriends.
My brother lives, well, he lives in Texas and he has a deer lease right near Uvalde. So that's where I watched in that same area. That's where I watched the solar eclipse last year.
Nice.
Or
Well, next
tried
you
to
could
watch.
go. Y'all could
It
go
wasn't-
try
I
some
know,
tanks,
I know.
Mary.
I didn't know it was there. Maybe I'll
You
have
could
to
have watched it
talk to Dick.
from a tank.
Yes.
You could watch it from a tank. Too funny. Whoever knew such a place even existed.
No.
How the heck did Relative Race find out that
I know, right?
place even existed?
Okay, my guess, but
Yeah.
it's just a guess. My suspicion is they found that and then they went backwards to figure out how to do the season to make it all make sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good theory. Yeah. That's a really good theory. I love that. Okay, so yes, Team Black gets eliminated. Yes. There's a lot of challenges on day 10. It was a lot. So then they go to the next challenge. Anybody want to tackle that? Apparently I can't do it because I can't remember who won.
Okay. That one was also kind of a behind enemy lines where they had to go in these vehicles and they were rescuing a soldier that was injured
Correct.
behind enemy lines.
Yes.
And then they were going to rescue or find a first aid kit that is somewhat also secured behind enemy lines. And then they're going to come back to base camp before they triage the poor guy that's injured. And they compare him to a dummy that's already been triaged and had all his dressing.
Yes.
So they have to do all their dummies dressing.
Bandaging. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Did
you missed
anybody-
they have to drive through a minefield. So they have
Oh,
to
that's
figure out where
right.
the mines
Yeah.
are.
Yeah,
Got the
that's right.
minefield.
That's right.
But did
They
anybody
had
else
to
but me
detect the
want
mine.
the person that they had to pick up be a real person, one of the previous contestants? If you've ever experienced or seen when they do, like, not reenacting, but when they have emergency situations that they practice and they use real people.
That
They
would have
do.
been
Been in one.
so
I
much
was in that
You've been
person.
one. I was really hoping it was going to be a real person who's going to be a
That's
previous
funny.
team member
Better yet, a GenFriend.
or a family member or something.
or a
They
GenFriend.
were not
Family
very
member.
We would be
careful with
very
those
honored to
dummies.
come and help
No,
out.
they weren't, Mary.
They
Mary
were
said
just
they
kind
were
of
not.
throwing them on there. It's like,
Yeah, no.
That's
he's
true.
injured.
They would have hurt
broken
us.
his neck.
They would have hurt us.
Yeah, so they had to find the mines with a
Right.
metal detector. So they had to go put it down on each line. But what was really different on this one was that it wasn't side by head to head like the first challenge. Somebody had to go first,
Right.
and then second and third.
Right.
So they told blue team, well, since you had the least strikes coming in,
that's right.
Mhm.
you decide the order. So
Mhm.
blue team said, well, red's going first,
Yes.
and we're watching very carefully.
Mhm.
And then green's going, and then once we've studied everything, we'll go, which I thought was good strategy.
Yeah.
Strategy.
Of course,
Yeah,
they
and
couldn't
so-
see anything really except for the last part, but
Yeah.
at least
Well,
they knew
because it's not
times
head-
and
Yeah, because it's not head to head, they could edit it, so we had no idea who was winning.
I think I forget this every season about how day 10 is so physical. And if you're,
Yeah.
it's exhausting
Yes.
to
Yeah,
see
and it
those
was
first two.
hot. It was
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
dusty.
Did you notice a couple, and I can never remember which ones, but had knee braces on? I think Team
Yes,
Green had a
I
knee brace
remember
on.
that.
yeah.
Team
Yeah.
Red, Kaylee had a knee brace on, but she had her knee brace off because I noticed that her knees looked scratched up from something
Ah,
previous. And so
yeah.
I was worried about them and those knee braces.
It
Yeah.
was rough.
It
Yeah.
was rough. I mean, and if you did have if you had asthma or you didn't like dust, you were
That's
just not going to win.
true. Oh, yeah. Yeah. A
But
lot
didn't
of
they go out? I think they went out. Now that was the first ones that they went out on tanks to do their thing,
yeah.
and the dust was blowing, and you couldn't
Yeah.
hardly even see the tanks.
Yeah. You couldn't see much of anything because
But somebody else can announce who won that triple threat thing.
Team Red won, and Team Blue came in second on that
Second.
one.
on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so therefore, Team Green that
Team
was
Green.
there,
Then they got eliminated.
they got eliminated.
I
Yeah.
kind of like the elimination cycle though, compared to the other years somewhat, because everybody made it, pretty much to day 9. You know what I mean? Nobody was left behind, but you had to earn it to make it, well, they all got to day 10. They all got there and then were eliminated. So
Yeah.
I kind of like that,
Yeah. A little bit at a time. Yeah, exactly.
Well, rather than them getting cut early in the season.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So everybody had a chance.
They all had a chance because
Everybody had a
it
chance.
could have turned around for any of those
Any of
teams.
them, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Any of
Yeah,
them.
Black almost came back. I mean, even though they were
Yeah.
at first you had to fold that tarp that for some reason it held air.
Yeah.
And they had to get the air out and
Yeah.
do it all.
That
And
was all
taking-
rough.
Yeah, that was
Mhm.
really rough. That
Physical.
was rough. Right.
Yep,
right.
yeah.
So
So
now we're down to just 2 teams and we're at the final challenge. Anybody want to?
Blue and red.
Mary, you look like you're wanting to.
Go for
Well,
it, Mary.
I had a little comment on
Yeah.
it. So what they had to do is they actually got to drive the tank in that one.
Yes.
The other ones they were passengers. So
Mhm.
this they were driving the tank, and they had to go down a road, drive over a freezer,
Yes.
and then grab a flag, and then drive over another freezer, and then grab another
and there was a
flag.
river in there at one point too.
Yeah, there's
Bridge.
Yeah,
water.
Little
Yeah.
bridge.
And then they got to drive over her car. So that was a big hit with
That's
everybody.
cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was so exciting.
But and I was really so Team Blue went first, and I was really I was a little disappointed with them. They were doing such good strategy through the whole thing,
Yeah.
the whole contest, and they said on that last one, because they didn't line up the tracks with
Mhm.
the freezer, and so they
They
were
had to
off,
back
so they
up.
had to back up and whatever. And I'm like, you guys, that's so stupid, because now you're telling them that
You're
they're
telling
supposed
them
to
exactly. You shouldn't have said. I
should've
thought
lined
the
up.
same thing. You told them. You just told them that you messed
You
up.
gave away
Don't
the
tell 'em.
secret. And so anyway, I was a little disappointed with you, Team Blue.
And I'm sure it just came out. I mean, the excitement.
Yes, yeah,
I mean, they're
they were
driving a tank. They were all so
That-
cute.
We're sitting back watching, not
Yeah.
right.
physically.
The adrenaline of
Yeah.
running over that car. I mean, they were
Right.
so excited about that. So,
And
yeah,
I
I
think
don't
it should-
blame them, but yeah.
I think it
I
should
had to
also
laugh.
be said that there was some kind of person who knew
Right.
what to do with the tank.
Right.
Kind
That
of
was
sitting
helping
on
them.
the outside
Hanging out front there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and hoping
Taking
they
their
didn't
lives
get
into
a
their own hands.
Yeah.
He worried
No,
me
no,
when
no.
There's a
Kaylee
couple
drove
times
through
they
the
get
water.
close to trees and
Yeah, when Kaylee drove through the water, it scared me for him.
It went through fast.
Up
It
on
wasn't
the
that deep
car.
the water though.
And it's all
Still, it tipped.
tilty.
But it did tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And somebody, like Laura said, someone almost hit that tree. Oh yeah.
And of course, when Team Red went, Dan with those flags, just, I mean, no big deal. He could just grab them. But but Team Blue didn't have.
They were
didn't have
too
to
So,
stop.
hyper.
I have a question about the flags.
Okay.
Did they have to come to a stop and put the
I think
flag
they
on the
had
pole?
to, 'cause they
Was
had to
that
put it
part
on-
of the
Yeah.
instructions?
I don't think they could have gotten it on the pole. They probably didn't want anybody to get hurt, so they probably did tell them.
Yeah, you
Could you
could tell that
imagine?
was the rule because
Yeah,
they
but
all had
you're
to
in
do
a,
it.
you're,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah, because I
okay,
could
so
see
they
somebody
did have
getting
to
hurt.
stop. Okay.
Yeah.
They did have
yeah.
to stop. That's why both of them, both the drivers were telling their team, like, hurry up, get it out
Yeah.
there. Get it out there.
Yeah.
Hurry up, Uncle Dan! Hurry up, Uncle Dan! That's so cute. That is so, so cute. I thought that was really, really fun. And
I thought Joni, she'd already she was having the time of her life. Like,
oh yes, driving that.
just, and
Yeah.
especially over the car. I mean, I
Yeah.
get it. It's so over the top, just
Yeah.
wanton destruction.
Yeah.
and then remember as Team Red and
She had to
Dan,
calm herself down each time.
exactly,
I
as
know.
Team Red and Dan the man, so that we, differentiate
Uncle Dan.
between Uncle Dan
Uncle
and
Dan.
the man. They're like, can you hear that car? They could hear the crunch of the car.
Yes. Too
I know,
funny.
it's pretty
Too
funny that
funny.
they could hear that. But yeah, and I feel sad that Team Black and Team Green didn't get a chance to drive the tank. And I'm thinking, wouldn't it be great if they did let them go? That would just be
At least a consolation run or something.
Yeah,
Right.
because it's like, that's not fair they didn't get to
I
have
think
fun.
everybody was happy it was over. That was a lot of physical stuff.
That was a
Day
lot of
10. And
you
they
know.
had the two, those two teams had the,
Right. And I wonder
you
how
know.
many, and this is a question we'll ask, is how long were they really there? How long was
Yeah,
that day
yeah,
10? Because
yeah.
usually we find out they were really long.
Because
really
we only got the minutes, 6 minutes or 7
Sure,
minutes,
yeah.
whatever.
Okay, we
Right.
didn't
But the
say who won. Maybe we
setups.
should mention that.
Say that again, Laura?
We didn't say who won yet.
No, we haven't said who won yet. I'm thinking who is it? Who, Melissa? You want to tell us? Oh, sorry, Shelley. Shelley may have wanted to.
Oh no, I'm saying this for Melissa to say.
Oh,
That's all.
go ahead, Melissa.
Well, that came down to time, and the Blues' time was 7 minutes and 14 seconds,
Right.
and then the Reds' time was 5 minutes and 15 seconds. So Red won.
She
Right.
just sped
I
right
know,
in
that's
there
what
at the
you
end. I mean, I think that was the winning time there.
Yeah,
Honestly, she
yeah.
booked in.
When she came
Yeah.
in, when she came to a sliding stop, I thought to myself, they must have won because she was
Yeah.
calling it going through there, almost tipping in the water. She was going fast.
She was
Yeah.
I
going
think
for it.
that maybe going first, that the Blue going first was good for Team Red because they
Yeah.
knew Blue had done well.
Yeah.
So I think Kaylee just was pulling out all the stops. And like she said, when she went in the river without slowing down, she's like, it's a tank. What could happen?
Well, and then you have a number. And so I'm wondering if it had been a different scenario had Blue
Yeah.
gone second because
And if they had been able to go head to head, like tank to tank.
wow.
Oh,
Can you
wow.
imagine?
That, jeez.
Oh, that's crazy. That is just crazy. Oh goodness. So
But
we're
Dan, to me, Dan the man,
uh-huh.
he gave it away because he was given a big talk about, the journey and stuff. And he said, Kaylee, what did you say? Why did you join this trip? And she said, I wanted to find relatives for myself and win the money for my kids.
Yeah.
And you could see on Blue's faces that they were thinking the same thing I was. I mean, because I can read minds and all that. But they were thinking, yeah, this is how he's building it up. Like, yeah, they won.
Unless
and so they were already saying, oh, well, if we lost, it was to a good team and stuff. But
yeah,
They were all cordial. That was
Yeah.
$50,000, you guys.
yeah.
I could be cordial and hug you, but I'm walking away with an attitude. That was $50,000 competition. And that's how Blue, remember, it's competition,
Right.
I think Blue felt that way when they were competing. But then
Yeah.
once it was over,
Yeah.
but then again, like when they announced that Red won
Mhm.
Yeah.
and Kaylee like collapsed, and then
Totally.
she somehow managed to get the check and throw it up in the air, but hold it up in the air, but it was upside down. And Dan the man is like, let's have a better picture. And nobody could have begrudged her that because she was so, overwrought to have won.
It was good though.
Leave it to Laura
It was
to
good.
comedy from the
What?
I said leave it to Laura to pull out the comedy stick. It was a great season. It was a fun finale. I mean, it was fun. It was I think it was fun for the teams. I do wonder though why they didn't have maybe some masks for the dust or something for their eyes, or they didn't have any protective gear at all. So I thought that was very interesting. I mean, I would have not been able to do, I would have had to wear my glasses because it would all that dust would have gotten in my contacts and I wouldn't have been able to see. And there was a couple of times when it looked like the camera couldn't see
Yeah.
anything.
Well,
Yeah,
if you'll
so
notice,
much
when
dust.
Kaylee was driving the tank, you could tell that the dust had gotten in her eyes because you could
Mhm.
see around right here that her eyes had watered and
Yeah.
washed a little bit of the dust away from around her eyes.
Yeah.
But they had the bandanas, but they didn't have anything for their eyes. I think they
No,
should have had. Which
no.
when we talked to them, we need to ask them about how come
But
we
I
didn't have
think
something
the
for your
guy
eyes.
on
And
the
goggles.
Yeah.
yeah, but didn't the
goggles.
guy have the goggles on?
No,
Oh,
he
the guy
didn't.
that's
Outside of
hanging
the
on the
tank?
side, you mean?
Uh-uh.
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't paying much
I seem
attention.
to, I can't remember.
I thought he did.
I think
I
he
did.
did too.
Yeah,
I
the
don't
guy
think
on
so.
out, and when I watch it, I always watch these things 2 times, but when I watch it again, I'm gonna look because I think he had goggles on because he's on the outside, so the splashing of the water, the dust,
Probably
and all
more
of
for
that.
him. Yeah, it
Yeah.
could be more for him than it was.
Well, I remember that when Team Black was doing theirs, even though it wasn't quite as dusty, but actually David had his glasses on. I noticed he had glasses on, and it was so he
Probably
must
for
wear
the
contacts or
same,
something
yeah, probably for the same reason
normally.
I would have had to do
Yeah.
glasses.
Yeah.
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 Very
But
So.
you know how can we kids learn to drive at the driving places
Yeah.
that the teacher has like a kill switch.
Yeah.
I wonder if that guy riding had like a kill switch. Like,
I know.
this
That's
is
a
getting
good.
crazy. I'm just going to say no.
I don't think he did.
We just know that he was very brave
Yeah.
to be
Or
on
not
those
very
tanks like
smart.
that.
One of the two.
But I wonder if that's just how, if you go to that place and you are there
I
with your
think
buddies
that's
to drive, that's just how they do it.
Yeah.
You can't just let somebody get into your tank and just drive.
No, and how are you going to stop somebody if they decide they're just going to take it home?
You can't take it.
But you couldn't stop them if they tried. Are you
They
going to
don't go
park a
that
car in
fast,
front of
though.
it?
Yeah, they don't. They're not that fast.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
gosh.
don't know. We should, Kaylee. She did speed her. She seemed to have been the fastest one.
Whew,
Yeah.
yeah, she was.
Yeah,
She was going. She was
she
going.
was
So
going.
what a it was. I thought it was a
50,000.
lot of fun. I thought that was a lot of fun and an experience that who in their lifetime would think they're going to go to a range and race on a tank like that, So
I
No,
didn't even know they had these things.
I
I really didn't.
that's up there with that bulldozer fun part, which my husband still wants to go to.
Oh, the bulldozer one. Yeah.
Yes.
The excavating equipment part.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That was
So
up there.
this one was something I could do. I could see myself doing. There's been a couple. That one where they were like up at the top of telephone poles or whatever. I mean,
Yes.
I still have PTSD from watching that one. And the other one where
Absolutely.
they were climbing up the like the rock climbing kind of thing. I just
Yeah.
remember like a real deserty, rocky kind of place.
Right.
Remember
And-
something
yeah.
with the water and the rocks or something? Who was that? The pond? This was a couple seasons ago.
And they've
Yeah.
Like an
also been,
island or something.
yeah, and they've also been where it's really cold. So the water is really, 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 really cold.
Yes.
And they're
Yeah.
kayaking and they're doing all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
this one was hot. So it was physical because of that, but it wasn't physical where a team is going to have an advantage because maybe they're more physically fit. I think this one was more, the challenges were more evened out.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so too. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
anybody
Remember
could
the
have
year
won.
where they had to use an axe to cut wood?
Yeah.
Like that was like
Mm.
definitely some teams had it at disadvantage. So this one,
Right.
plus it was filmed like when October?
So it
Yeah.
probably wasn't as hot as,
Yeah.
It was probably hot, but not
because it was still
hot.
Texas.
July
Yeah.
hot, yeah.
Yeah, it
Still
wasn't,
Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
but it was dusty.
it was dusty. That's true. That's true. So another really fun finale. And, this was another great season. I can't believe we were talking about day 10.
Yeah.
I
It's
can't,
over.
yeah, it's over. It's over. I know that they have filmed season 16. So that will
Are
come,
they done?
they will, yep. And so that will come out most likely in the fall.
Yeah.
And I saw a rumor, it's just a rumor, that they're scoping out for the next season. So I don't know that they've started filming, but I'm hearing rumors about season 17. So
Where are they
Cool.
scoping? Where do rumors say they were scooping? Scoping.
I'll have to tell you after I tell you. So,
Okay,
but
we have to say goodbye so we can get
wait,
that.
wait,
I
wait.
know, right?
Actually, just check your social media. Everybody, check your social media channels, and you just might
Yeah.
uncover some things that I might be taking as a clue that might not be a clue. That's why I didn't want to say where exactly. But anyway, what we would like for you to do as our viewers, and again, we're sorry that the team reunion is not going to be for a couple of weeks, but what you can do is let us know. Do you have some questions?
Oh,
What
that's a good idea.
questions do you want us to
Great
ask?
idea.
Yeah, put it, this will either be, you can either do that on the blog post or on the YouTube channel. Either way, let us know what you would like for us to ask the teams. And so far, as far as we know, they'll all be there.
Yeah.
But, things happen. And, you know, and then people can't come because, things happen. But as far as we know, everybody is going to be there. And so let us know what you would like to ask. And if somebody isn't able to show up, we can still maybe find the answer to that question for you.
Right. We'll have them send a big head
Yeah.
to put on the Zoom thing. We'll just put their face.
If they can't be there, they can just, yeah, exactly. So we're hoping that we get the full team reunion. Every once in a while, not everybody can be there, but we have invited and we have been told that everybody will be able to be there. So like I said, things happen, you just never know, but that's our goal, is to get that team reunion to you. So we want to know what your questions are. What do you want to ask? And it can't be anything too personal. You can't say what was really wrong with Gabby, because that's not our business.
It's not our
So,
business.
That's right.
right, not our business, but
No.
things that we can ask that aren't too personal, we certainly will. And so I am very grateful for this wonderful panel that comes and helps me to stay on track, like telling you who really, had to go home first on,
No spoiler alerts here.
on day 10. So anyway, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. There won't be any Gen Friends next week, but hopefully in 2 weeks, we will be back with you and have our team reunion. So we'll see you next time on Gen Friends. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.